the investment capital which we're all given in life to exchange is limited, placing increased importance in prioritizing the items and priorities which are important for optimizing our life. Simply put, the most authentically enriching promotion you can ever give to yourself is deploying and accessing resources which optimize your physical and body health. However, according to a report published by the World Obesity Federation in March of this year, it revealed that by 2035, more than 4 billion people, more than half of the world's population, will be considered obese. For more than 20 years, Dr. Cody Golman has been on the front line of helping his patients lose excess fat and reclaim their lives. Dr. Golman asserts that more than 57 million people are pre-diabetic due to preventable health issues. Golman says that the longer you're overweight, it prevents the body's ability to treat viruses and bacteria effectively. Dr. Golman is on a mission to help people lose fat and gain more energetic energy, and he's committed to helping people realize the 3 most important steps to permanently losing fat without starving yourself or causing more harm. Once an Army tank commander, Dr. Golman has transitioned into a healer, entrepreneur, national lecturer, and quantum life coach. Simply put, Dr. Golman is only concerned with helping you shed the pounds and the fat while also giving you your energy back to attack life the way you see fit without having to worry about your health and wellness, because your routine and view on life, if you treat your body as if it was a precious and invaluable commodity. Are you intrigued to learn more and engage in conversation with Dr. Golman? I know I am. So without further delay, I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. If you're ready, I'll take a moment to welcome you to the program, my friend. And I'm super excited to talk to you about maximizing energy and living our best lives. Great to see you, my friend, and thank you for a few minutes.
Great to see you, my friend. Yeah, and thanks for taking the time to have me.
Absolutely. And Doctor, you said there's one fundamental issue affecting all of our lives, and it's our ability to be overweight as a society. So I'm wondering if we could dive into our conversation by asking you, why do you think our obesity is something that we should all be concerned about?
Well, to be honest with you, man, I mean, when you look at this, weight loss in general and fat storage is really not a cosmetic thing. And so just a few things to understand is the human body and the human brain were designed to burn fat as a fuel source. Fat is the best fuel source you have. for both your mind and body. And so what happens is when someone is storing fat, it means they're not burning fat. So when someone's storing fat in their body, well, yeah, we already know that excess fat is linked to the top 3 leading causes of death. We know that. But when you look at it from the angle of why is your body storing fat? It's because you're not burning it. What it means is you'll have less ability to sleep, less energy. You'll notice your mind isn't as sharp. It's also hard to handle emotions. So this is one of the biggest reasons that I focus on making sure people are not just healthy, but also have a lean body that's not storing fat and it's burning it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doctor, I'm also curious to ask you about the state of health in the world today and whether you think as a society we really view that as a top priority. So when you look at and assess the state of our health today, how would you characterize it, my friend?
Wow, the state of our health. Well, you know what? I probably don't need to characterize it. The World Health Organization says it all. The World Health Organization, you would think, when you look at, we are in the top 5 amongst the amount of money spent on healthcare, okay, in the world. So you'd think we ranked in the top 5, but we're not in the top 10, not in the top 20. We fluctuate from rank number 37 to 43 in terms of our health as compared to other countries, which makes no sense, right? And so it's really fascinating to look at it from that standpoint is if what we're putting money towards, we're making us healthier, we should be, should be at least top 5. But a lot of things we're putting money towards are not things that make us healthy. They're things that patch up health. They're things that temporarily give you the illusion of health. For example, here's an example, my friend. Let's say someone's got a headache. Well, you can take, all kinds of pills for headaches. They even have injections. You even do Botox, and it takes the headaches away. But what if that headache is telling you that you're in an uninspiring relationship or in an uninspiring job? Or you're not in the right path right now and life wants you to change? What if that headache is God trying to get you moving in the right direction, but you keep patching up with painkillers? To me, that's one of the biggest fallacies, is that pain is somehow some kind of devil. It's really an angel in disguise.
Yeah, it's about managing pain and the tolerance to a doctor. And I have to tell you that I know that you're a former Army tank commander. So first of all, thank you for your service, doctor. And I know that when you got out of the service, you were inspired in a sense because you saw the need for healing around you. And for the last 20 years, you've spent time as an entrepreneur, a healer, and a lifestyle coach. So tell me, doctor, about your time in the Army and also about the transition and why you decided to do the work you're doing now.
Well, thanks for that question, Kevin. And I think that question, I want to go a whole different direction with that question, because I want to tell you something. I grew up with an aunt who has full body cerebral palsy. She lived with me from the time I was, I think about maybe about 8 or 9, until, of course, leaving for college. And she still lives with my family. My mom's taking care of her, and I watched her grow up. I watched her not grow up, but as I grew up, I watched her graduate from college with an English degree, typing with one hand like this. So I had a very hard time complaining about anything in my life because I watched as my aunt with full body cerebral palsy, she got an English degree and she was still out doing things, right? She's still out living her life. And so the reason I bring that story up is when I would, at 17 as a in the military and 19 as a tank commander, when I saw people complaining about stuff that was it's just not important. The stuff that we really complain about in life is not important. The fact that I can go walk and I can breathe makes me break down into tears. So the reason I bring this story up is my entire life and my purpose has been to ignite and inspire people to their highest potential, And I noticed one of the first things is that having a body that is healthy, that is the number one thing, because when your body's not healthy, it's very challenging to go inspire other people. It's very challenging to live your life's purpose, right? So that's why as in the military, I was injured. Chiropractic is what saved me. As a chiropractor, I started realizing you can have more impact, one-on-one. I could have more impact if I started really working with people in group settings. And so that's when I started doing public speaking. And that's why I now do coaching and group coaching with people. But it's that initial story of seeing my aunt and seeing what she had to deal with and realizing, man, if I've got two legs, I can walk and I can breathe, I've got it pretty damn good. And so that's really what's been inspired my entire journey and moving towards what I do now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you bring this up, Doctor, because as you know, doing your research on me, I was born with cerebral palsy. I've lived with it all of my life, Doctor. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about was the idea of treating your body like a temple. I have an identical twin brother, and my brother and I were born a minute apart from each other. And one of the ways that Keith and I bond is that my brother always says that your body is your temple, and we only have one body to use, Doctor. So tell me about the importance of optimizing your body health as well, and your thoughts there.
That statement, I believe, is probably an old statement from theology. Your body's a temple. And this was said from many wise masters a long time ago. This is a temple. Some people just take that as a fun statement, a cool statement. But when you consider this, Kevin, that your consciousness is simply occupying this body at this time-space reality. When you consider that, it's such a blessing to be able to come here and be in this body. It's a gift to be in this body. It's when you feel into it like that, like your consciousness is getting this opportunity to experience, to breathe, to move, to walk, that statement takes on a whole new meaning. And this is an opportunity. We come into this life where how many get this opportunity? I don't know, but it is a total gift. And so when I talk to people, when I run people through my weight loss coaching program and health coaching programs, this is the essence that I speak from is that your consciousness is utilizing this body this time and space. And it is very temporary. As we all know, nothing is static. Nothing stays the same in this reality. Everything is completely changing. That's laws of energy. Everything's dynamic. It's always changing. So to really stick in the essence and feel the essence of that, you've got a short time here, and this body is your ability to actually express who you are and what your consciousness is here to do, then it changes that whole meaning, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doctor, just out of personal curiosity, I'm going to share a story with you. So my life philosophy is that inclusion is the gateway to independence. And Doctor, I found out at the age of 9 that I wouldn't be able to walk without assistance throughout the duration of my life at the age of 9 because of the severity of my cerebral palsy. And I credit my middle school principal, Dr. Carol Crowley, who really changed the trajectory of my life, because I found out the day before I was to start my 4th grade of elementary school, and I had to come back from London, Ontario, from the hospital doctor, and I went to the principal's office the next day, and she had everyone assigned to my file, from teachers to social workers to therapists, and my parents were there, and I went through the story of telling her what the doctor had told me the previous day, Doctor, about not being able to walk without a walker. And then she looked at me and she said, the only limitations on your life are the artificial ones that you place on yourself. And I really credit that as sort of the turning point in my life. So the question to you, doctor, is how do you view inclusion and the concept of inclusion for all people?
Man, you're I love you shared that story. It brings tears to my eyes. Um, because of the gratitude that I have for what you're doing. And I really mean that, man. And you know, I'm even sitting here kind of going, oh my gosh, like I can't wait to have my aunt listen to your podcast because I'm not sure she's heard it before. The ability to include and really encompass all of us as one, meaning I want to bring into this the principle of the one and the many. If you've never heard of that principle, the many versus the one, you can say that there's one energy, one God, whatever one of universal power you want to say, and there's many of us. And so we are not separate. We are not separate. So I love when your principle was able to empower you. He or she was empowering, him or herself. And we are not islands of our own. We are here to lift each other up. And I can tell you at the end of our lives, there's a book called The 5 Regrets. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's a lady who spent 30 years in hospice with people who are on their deathbed. And with the last statements they said, and those 5 regrets are powerful because the things that people regretted were not the things that we all are after. The things people regretted were, I wish I'd have laughed more. People said, I wish I'd spent more time with my friends. People said, I wish I would have lived the life that I wanted, not the life others wanted for me. So the ability to really do those things, it all comes from us working with each other and caring for each other, not being greedy and selfish and trying to just get what we want for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, Doctor, one of your passions is working with people to discover natural ways of healing, and you also help people through the three steps to permanent fat loss. So I'm wondering if you could dive into that for me this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. So it's one of the most powerful things is, first of all, I got into this weight loss thing because 80% of weight loss programs fail, meaning 80% of weight loss programs, this is a statistical fact in America. People do a weight loss program and they gain the weight back. And that's not okay. People spend tens of thousands of dollars to lose weight and just gain it all back. It's because it's being done the wrong way. So the first step is to understand what type of weight you want to lose. That's the first step. So step one, people must understand there's three types of weight. You have muscle, water, and fat. Okay. Most weight loss programs, people will lose some fat, some muscle, and some water. The problem is when you burn muscle, you feel crappy. You feel horrible. And so what happens is a lot of people will reduce their calories beyond their expenditure and then end up burning muscle. So the number one first thing is to decide to burn fat, and you got to figure out how to burn fat. That's number one. And if you want to burn fat, stop reducing your calories. Stop starving yourself. Stop fasting. That's step one. Okay. The second step is to change your burner type if you're the wrong burner type. Okay. So Kevin, there's 2 burner types. You have a sugar burner and a fat burner. Okay. How do you know you're one or the other? Sugar burners have a hard time sleeping, have a hard time waking up. Sugar burners are tired. They have energy crashes throughout the day. They need a lot of coffee to stimulate themselves to stay awake. They have more emotional imbalances. They're more irritable. Also, they retain excess fat on their body. So how do you know you're a sugar burner? If you've got excess fat in your body, you're most likely burning sugar. So the second step is, if you know you're a sugar burner, is to switch to being a fat burner. How do you know if you're burning fat? You know because you have plenty of energy throughout the day. You sleep, you go to bed on time. Oh, that doesn't have to be just on time, but you go to bed easily and you fall asleep and stay asleep. You also know a big reason is you don't carry excess fat in your body because your brain is actually utilizing fat as a fuel source, okay? And the third step is to actually switch your hormones back. So I'll keep this brief, but there's 2 hormones called leptin and ghrelin. Those 2 hormones are responsible for whether or not you burn fat or sugar, and they tell you whether or not you're full or hungry. So many people, because they've eaten so much sugar over the years, have become sugar burners, and their hormones are now looking at sugar as a fuel source. So those are the 3 steps that I run people through when I coach them.
And it's part of your latest venture, Doctor, called the Fast 40, where you help people, where you've helped countless people shed weight and feel better about themselves. So tell me about the Fast 40 and why you're so proud of the new venture, my friend.
Oh, thanks for asking about that, Kevin. The Fast 40 weight loss company is a healthy, natural weight loss program, fat loss program specifically. There's no hormone, there's no drugs, first of all, no chemicals, no injections, no artificial hormones that are used in it. Okay. Secondly, people do not gain the weight back if you follow the program. So I've combined natural, healthy weight loss with scientific approach. Okay. And I also add in coaching. So I actually coach each individual through this process, and I've got a 99% success rate of not only people losing the weight, but keeping it off. And so the Fast 40 was designed after me working with thousands of patients and watching them do Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers and HCG and paleo and keto, and watching them do this, spend thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, and then gaining all the weight back. And so I just got frustrated and said, you know what? I'm done with these fad diets. This is not healthy. Let me actually show people a healthy way to lose weight.
And tell me, Doctor, why do you think fad diets are so ineffective? Because, people often have the New Year's resolution to lose weight, and they invest in these fad diets, but they're often disappointed with the sustainable results. So tell me, why do you think fad diets are so ineffective?
I'll be very pointed with the answer on this one. Paleo, ketogenic, South Beach, Weight Watchers, the list goes on. They are all based on one thing. It's calorie reduction, caloric restriction. Here's the problem. When you restrict your calories, so just understand this. If you burn 2,000 calories in a day, and you only put in 1,500, you've got a 500 caloric deficiency. When you've got a caloric deficiency, meaning you don't eat enough throughout the day, your brain has a mechanism called the anti-starvation mechanism. What it does is it says, oh no, I'm not getting enough food, so therefore I'm going to store fat. So when people are starving themselves and skipping meals and even fasting, you're literally telling your body to store fat. That's why people will lose weight initially. They'll lose weight. They'll start losing fat, but eventually they store fat and start burning muscle. So that's why it works very temporarily. Now you can imagine when people get off these diets, what happened is the body's now used to storing fat. Okay. And so this is why each time someone does a fad weight loss program, each time they do it, it becomes harder and harder to lose the weight every time.
Yeah. And, Doctor, one of the reasons I was so excited to talk to you is because I know that you believe in helping people find their sense of empowerment and really unlocking their potential. So how do you think empowerment and unlocking potential are interconnected?
I like that question, man. You have great questions, Kevin. So what does that even mean? Maybe we should define that. What does it mean inner potential?
Sure.
Right. Because like you can say, well, we have physical potential. Maybe I can run this far or I can sleep this long or whatever it is, right? A physical, but inner potential is your potential as the being you are outside of your body. So here's the thing. We're not our body. I think most people realize they're not a body. Most people realize they're not their mind. Those are things we have. You are an energetic being. And what is the potential of energy? Well, it's unlimited. That's the answer. So we have unlimited potential. Now, obviously, we're sitting in a body and a mind that has certain limitations. But I love what you asked because our true power really comes from going within and feeling who we really are. Recently, I just realized, I was defining myself and my power with how much money I made, with how many people I helped, with how many businesses I had. And I started realizing, oh my gosh, this isn't my power at all. This isn't my value at all. Your value is when you go in and feel who you truly are. It's your essence, the energy of who you really are. When you start tapping into that, I believe that most start being guided into worthwhile pursuits that really make a difference and really are inspiring to them.
Yeah, and Doctor, I think we share the same synergy in the fact of, optimizing your health has a direct correlation to affecting all parts of your life and every aspect of your life. So talk to me about your belief on how you think optimizing our physical health can help us in all aspects of our lives to excel.
Well, that's a great question, man. First of all, our bodies, as we've talked about, are the loudspeaker for who we really are. And now you and I both discussed that it's a temple. So I'll just tell you this. I spent a year and a half sick in bed. I was really in bed for 6 months. I didn't walk for 6 months, but I was sick for a year and a half. And when someone goes through that, you really start realizing what's important. None of the cars, none of the money, none of the houses, none of the stuff in the businesses I had really mattered, right? Because I just couldn't walk. And so when someone begins to optimize their health, what this really means is your body is functioning at its peak potential. The body and the mind can limit our outer expression. Our inner expression is unlimited, but our outer expression is limited to the degree of organization, but the matter we have inside our mind and body. So we can say that dis-ease is a disorganization of matter. And we can say that health or homeostasis is an organization of matter. So when you look at it like that angle, starting with a healthy body is the number one thing, I believe, to be able to move towards really living a fully inspiring, passionate life that is meaningful.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Doctor, I also believe that there's strength in individual expectations. And what I mean by that is setting our own level of personal expectations is the first step, in my view, to really leveling up our own lives. So tell me about your thoughts on strengthening our own individual expectations and the importance of that as well.
That's an interesting question because, I coach people, really high level people who have a high expectations. I have high expectations of myself. And I think this can work both ways. Number one, setting goals and wanting to create something is an important thing. Okay. But setting that goal because we think we're going to find happiness or we think we're going to find something better, I think is an illusion. Meaning, have you ever set a goal, you reached it, and then you sit and you're happy, but it only lasts for a few minutes, a few hours, a few weeks. One of my companies I built and sold took 17 years. I was happy for about 7 days. So I think there can be a trap in this of setting expectations, because if we think the thing that we want is going to bring us happiness, that's the trap. But if we already start from the place of finding this inner peace, this inner happiness, and then go after the goals simply because it's just the pursuit that life is pushing us towards, that's where I think the key is.
Yeah, and Doctor, just to follow up on that, do you think expectations and really setting our standards for ourselves are sort of connected to priorities in life? Because, I always say that priorities are something that we make time for. So we make time for the priorities that we deem important in life. So I'm curious about your perspective on how we should view prioritizing priorities and your thoughts there as well.
Love that question, man. Number one, this is actually the basis of my coaching. Is I help people, first of all, determine their highest life priorities. That's the first thing I do when I coach with someone. I coach with high power business owners, and what I found is most people do not know what their priorities are. So I love your question. I determine people's priorities by actually asking them a series of questions and seeing what answer comes to their mind first. And what you're saying is right on. When we live according to our highest priorities, we are happy. Let me say it like this, Kevin, when your relationships support your highest life priorities, those relationships you will call happy. When your business supports your highest life priorities, you'll go, I really like this business. On the other side of it is if a business or relationship doesn't support your highest life priorities, you'll notice yourself being really unhappy, even if you're making a lot of money. I actually fell into that trap. I had a business where I was making a ton of money, had plenty of time, and it was so unfulfilled. Why? Because it wasn't fulfilling my highest life priority. So I think you hit the nail on the head, my friend.
Yeah, Doctor, how do you view closing the equity gap? And I'll give you what I mean by that. You know, whether you have a disability or you come from a marginalized community or you come from a socioeconomic background that isn't the greatest, you know, at some point in our life, we're all going to experience adversity. So, under that context, Doctor, I'm curious, from a life perspective, what do you think the key is to closing the equity gap?
Wow, man, that's a pretty loaded question, man. I'm gonna have to keep it really short because I have so many things to say in that. I think, having and you kind of tuned in with this, man, but having experienced great adversity, and when I say great adversity, almost dying, also, by the way, in the military, I was injured pretty severely, and so, I think it's necessary to experience the pain. I want to say it like this. I really have moved away from positive thinking, just to be honest with you, Kevin, because what I've noticed is most positive thinkers end up with negative results. When I say that to positive thinkers, they don't like that. But we live in a world that's polarized. So the more positive I am, the more negative I'll draw in. So it's interesting when you look at it from this angle. I've learned to embrace the pain in my life now. I learned to embrace the diversity, learn to really embrace what I used to call dark. When I was really sick and on my last breath, I decided to go into the dark, go into what I was calling death. And I got to tell you, Kevin, that's when I started experiencing life. So that's I can say much more about that, but I want to leave it at that for now.
Yeah, and to that point, Doctor, maybe you can follow up this way. And my second to last question to you today has to do with how do you define consistency when you talk about effective healthcare management or your life expectations? How do you define consistency?
How to define consistency? Okay, this is a great question because the laws of energy are such that nothing stays the same. So I'm a very organized and planned person, but I got to tell you, if you're organized and planned in your business and your life, that's beautiful. But just wait a little bit and it's going to change. Nothing stays the same.
It's so called life, right?
Right, exactly, man. I've strived to keep things the same, and honestly, that's caused me so much pain. So I schedule and plan. I schedule my week out on Sundays, and I schedule my day every single morning. But the only reason I do that is because it changes so much that I used to schedule a week at a time or a month at a time. It doesn't work because every day is different. You got to leave for some flexibility here, right?
Absolutely. I just like having a flexible conversation in a podcast, right?
You got it, my friend. That's right, exactly.
Absolutely, my friend. And tell me, Doctor, what brings you the most joy in life?
Oh, I'm going to just really feel that question that you're asking because that question shouldn't come from the mind. What brings me the most joy? My little daughter is 5 years old, and I got to spend the week with her as an entrepreneur. I was off work, right? I got to take off my job, and we went to petting farms, petting zoos. We did tons of bike rides, dog parks. I mean, we went everywhere. And halfway through the week, my friend, part of my mind was like, oh my God, you should be working. You should be doing things, right? Halfway through the week, I started realizing, oh my God, this is wealth. To be able to spend time with my little daughters growing up. My parents worked full time and they couldn't spend the day with me, but I can. That truly brings me the most joy. That's number one. Number two, when I can empower someone from a place that they've been stuck and feeling horrible, and I can empower them to move into a direction of life that's fulfilling, that means everything to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And Doctor, you inspired me to ask one final question before I ask you how you want your life legacy to be defined, and that's how do you define flexibility of purpose? Because what I mean by that, Doctor, is we can plan our lives to the T, but as we've been discussing, life changes and our priorities in life changes and our interest in life changes. So talk to me about the importance of really embracing flexibility of purpose, and what does that mean to you?
I love your question, my friend. Let me bring something into this. You asked about flexibility. The reason this is such an important question, flexibility. There's laws of energy, okay? Energy itself can never be created or destroyed. We know that. Mm-hmm. But energy has one characteristic and one manifestation. This is an important piece. People now have heard it this way. Energy has one manifestation and one characteristic, okay? The one characteristic of energy, which, by the way, when we say energy, what isn't energy? Your body's energy, your mind's energy, your energy, the air we're breathing in is energy. There's nothing that's not energy. So what we're talking about right now are life principles. The one characteristic of energy is that it must change. That's the only thing that's constant about energy that changes. And there's one manifestation. So energy only does one thing. It moves. So when you consider that your life, the people around you, this earth, this globe, this solar systems, the only thing it can ever do is change and move. When you sit in that principle, then you ask the question, what's the importance of flexibility? You start realizing it is everything. I'd love to change the word to adaptability, because this is evolution, my friend. Life that can adapt evolves. If you don't adapt, you don't evolve. This is why your question is so powerful.
And then you get left behind, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Doctor, my final question for you this afternoon has to do with your own professional and personal legacy and how you want your legacy to be defined.
Great question. How do I want my legacy to be defined? If I was to really feel into this, I would really want the teachings that the universe has expressed through me. I would want to see people implementing these things. I want to see people living at such high degrees of consciousness that we're able to connect with not just who we are, but really live in a world that is conscious of the universal principles that I've been discussing here. And so my legacy, I would love to leave a legacy where people take these principles of energy and they make them real in their lives. And ultimately, I'd love to see my daughter teaching these, as she gets older. So that'd be my legacy I'd love to leave.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about paying it forward, isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely. And Dr. Finally, tell me, if people want to get connected with the good work that you do, my friend, what's the best and most effective way they can do that?
Well, if you want to check out, I know we've talked a little bit about weight loss and the weight loss company. You go to fast40weightloss.com. So it's www.fast40weightloss.com. And people are welcome if you want to reach out to me. You can also go to drcodygolman.com. So it's DR. So DR is in doctor, DR Cody, CODYGOLMAN.com. And they can actually contact me personally there. even set up a time to chat.
Well, fabulous, Doctor. And I have to tell you, you're my first podcast of the week, and I couldn't think of a better way to kick off my broadcasting week. So I want to thank you for bringing your energy and enthusiasm about the work that you do to help people optimize their health and live their best life, Doctor. Your work in the space and time on my behalf is most appreciated, and I want to thank you for being here today.
Well, Kevin, I want to say thanks for having me. Thanks for doing what you do. It's very important that you do what you do. I don't think people really perceive the amount of challenge, that it takes to actually have conversations and do what you're doing. It's incredible. And I want you to know that I want you to reach out to me with anything you ever need. I'd love to stay connected with you, my friend. Please let me know how I can help.